So Hamzah Sheeraz destroys Liam Williams in 1 round. No one has ever done that to Williams before. He has been stopped way back in the days by Liam Smith, but that was late in the fight and due to injury, whereas here against Sheeraz, he was blasted out, dropped several times and stopped in the very first round. So on paper, this was a great result. But if we're going to be honest, we have to admit that Liam Williams' punch resistance has never been the same since that fight he had against Demetrius Andrade a few years ago, because subsequent to that, he was dropped on several occasions by jabs from Chris Eubank Jr. And it was a similar situation here against Hamzah Sheeraz. He was wobbled in the very early moments of the fight by Sheeraz's jab, dropped by a jab, and then later on dropped by what looked like a very glancing uppercut that didn't even land solid. Eventually, his cornerman, Gary Lockett, waved the towel and got the referee to stop the fight. So this was clearly a shot to bits Liam Williams, and I don't think he should be boxing anymore since his punch resistance is so poor now. Remaining in boxing becomes exponentially more dangerous for him, so I think he should retire. Now, with all the critiques of Liam Williams' condition aside, this was a good performance by Sheeraz. Early on in Hamzah Sheeraz's career, I was a bit concerned by how slow he looked, because they were trying to compare him to Tommy Hearns, and that's a really unfortunate comparison to make because not many fighters will turn out to be as great as the Hitman Hearns, right? So I looked at Sheeraz, I thought, wow, he's very slow, but in his most recent performances, he's quickened up a bit. Now, he's never going to be as fast as Hearns, but he's definitely sharper now than, as I say, earlier on in his career. And I was watching Richard Dwyer's video about this particular fight, and he said that Hamzah Sheeraz has a certain presence to him in the ring. And I agree. He does have a presence about him. He does have a poise about him. And I think he's cultivated that in those tough gyms in America over the past few years where he's really cut his teeth. That is paying dividends, I think, now. He's got an American trainer, or at least an American-based trainer. I think it's paying off for him. Paul Dempsey on the TNT commentary was going overboard with what he was saying about Sheeraz's performance. But with all that aside, I'm going to make a comparison here, which might sound like I'm going over the top myself. I'm not. But Sheeraz, with his ring presence, reminds me a little bit of David Benavidez. He doesn't have Benavidez's hand speed, but again, just his presence in the ring, his ring generalship reminds me a bit of Benavidez. And obviously he's a tall guy like Benavidez is. In fact, he's taller than Benavidez, I think. Hamzah Sheeraz is 6'3", 24 years of age. You wonder how long he's going to be able to stay at middleweight with that type of frame. After the fight, he was calling out Chris Eubank Jr. and a bunch of other people. I can't see that fight happening anytime soon. Eubank Jr. is somewhat of a cash cow, so he's going to be looking at cash cow type fights, meaning either world title fights or fights against other high profile fighters that have bigger followings than Hamzah Sheeraz currently has. In which case, I think Sheeraz is going to have to just keep plugging away, working his way up the rankings, probably fighting some elimination bouts, and maybe force a title shot as a mandatory challenger. The 160-pound division isn't that strong currently, and if Hamzah Sheeraz continues to improve at his current trajectory, I think there's a good chance he could be competing and maybe succeeding at world level, winning world titles. At the top, you've got Aleem Kanuli, obviously, and he's a very good boxer, but he does have chinks in his armor. We saw that against Denzel Bentley. Jamal Charlo's also a champion. He hasn't looked that great lately. And then you've got Erislandy Lara, who was really a career 154-pounder, now up at 160. I'll give Hamzah Sheeraz a decent shot against him. Don't get it twisted, it's a tricky fight. Lara's still got some slickness about him. He's an old man, he's a veteran now. But if Sheeraz can impose himself the way, let's say, Jarrett Hurd imposed himself on Erislandy Lara, maybe he can get the job done. So yeah, I'm liking the improvement I'm seeing from Hamzah Sheeraz. Again, he's got that poise, he's got that ring presence about him. You can see the intensity in his eyes when he's fighting. He's absolutely locked in and focused. His technique is improving, getting a bit more sharpness and snap on his punches. He's now 19-0 with 15 KOs. But let me know what you guys thought about his performance against Liam Williams in the comment section below. Are you seeing the improvements that I'm seeing? Are you seeing the attributes that I've described in this video? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments.